This is the Pirate Hunter, and this is the start of the inbox kit reviews for Nigel Wells' North African group build, which starts on 1 February 2014. This is my second attempt at this video. Operator error on the first one caused it to disappear into the great unknown. The first kit, I have 6 kits for this, and the first kit I have is the Holy Toledo. It's a Panzer II Captain Peacock. It's Panzer Kampfwagen II, and this kit was reviewed numerous times by some people that did some very good reviews on this. So unless you people are so enamored of the golden tones of my voice that you have to hear me do build on this and a kit review, I'm going to pass. I will open it up when I do my 6th kit that I haven't got yet, and I will go through this kit real quick, show you I do have it. Excuse me. First one I'm going to review is the British 2-pounder gun crew, North Africa, 1/35th scale, and it's a Vulcan kit. It says metal, ammo, shells included. It shows 3 figures on the front, and this gentleman right here is not going to have a good day if you're trying to load an artillery piece like that. There's a video on YouTube where a guy looks like at least a 75 or a 105 right in the chest, and that's going to ruin your whole day. You learn the hard way. Don't get down there like that if you're going to reload an artillery piece. The side of the box art shows water bottle, basic pouch, ammunition pouch, compass case, binoculars. Shows 1/35th scale British 2-pounder gun sold separately. And shows the crew again. This side shows helmet, holster revolver, entrenching tool, 3 different kinds of artillery shells. End piece on this one. Doesn't show anything else. Nothing on the flap. Side here we got, there's our artillery shells. Man, them some little tiny brass artillery shells. There's 4 of them in the bag. Single sprue other than that. On this, I'm doing this at night, and I've had to turn the lights down, otherwise I get so much glare. It's got Vulcan registered trademark. 2009 Vulcan 56002 is the kit number. The parts on it look pretty good. There's a lot of detail on them. The small pieces have got a lot of detail. There's one, looks like one plastic artillery shell there. The facial features got a pretty good amount of detail on them. Clothing's got some really good detail on it. There's the front half, front of the chest of this one looks really good. Front of that one looks good too. There's a lot of detail in this. There's no flash. Little tiny bit, but not much to worry about it. I don't see any parting lines on any of the legs, so looks pretty good. The plastic feels better than it did on that Pack 40 on the review I did on that, on the update. So all in all, looks pretty good. The thing I like on this is if you look at this from the angle like that, they all have standoffs on them, so when they've been in the box, they don't get smashed down flat. They have a standoff to hold them up off the box. So that's a pretty good idea on that one. Second one we're going to do is the Ordnance Quickfire 2-pounder British anti-tank gun Mark 9 Carriage Mark II. This is another Vulcan kit, 1/35th scale model. Ready to assemble plastic model kit, over 100 parts. And when I first looked at this before I opened this, I thought 100 parts on something like this. The more I got into it, the more I found out. It says for ages 14 and over, figures not included, cement and paint not included, Vulcan 2009. On the side of the box art, it has it in transport, has it start to be set up to fire, and then it shows it in combat. Same picture on the end of the box art. This one shows it in a dark green camouflage scheme on it. End of the box, still nothing on that. Same picture as on the front. Side, it's got 2 sprues and directions, nothing else on the inside. First sprue on it is, again, it has the same thing on the Vulcan where they have this has just it has small standoffs kind of on all of them, but the center of it really has quite a standoff on it to hold it up there, which is a pretty good idea. The back of the shield, it's got some pretty good detail on it on the bolts and the rivets. The breech assembly looks pretty good. I don't really see any flash on it. Don't really see any burrs. It's a one-piece barrel. I found that out when I did the first one. It's a one-piece barrel on it, and the end of it's been drilled. Said it's numbered pretty good. There's a lot of little bitty parts on it here. I don't think you can see this on it. Find something else. But right here, all of these are little tiny parts, and they're all numbered 47, so we'll have to look and see what they are. But there's a lot of little tiny parts on this. Little tiny parts. There's some here. There is one there. Or as I'm even getting to the stage I'm calling, there's a lot of fiddly bits on this stuff. Look at the second sprue. Second sprue is the wheels, tires, springs. This is the trail arms for it. It's got some artillery shells on it. It's got 6 empty and 6 loaded shells. It's got some more real tiny little bits on it. That right there is some little small pieces on it. Looks good. No flash, real flash on it. Maybe a little tiny bit on this, but other than that, not bad. Again, it's got the standoffs on it. So it looks pretty good on it. Let's look at our directions and see what we got. It's got a sprue map for both A and B, the 2 sprues. It says the Ordnance Quickfire 2-pounder was a 40mm British anti-tank widely used by British, Commonwealth, and Allied countries such as the Free Polish and the Czech armies during the Second World War. It was the main anti-tank gun before mid-1942, used in France and North Africa, before being replaced by the 6-pounder. As enemy tanks become more heavily armored, some theaters it remained in service until the end of the war. Besides its major role as a towed weapon, the 2-pounder was mounted in early war British cruiser and infantry tanks, and later light tanks and armored cars. Once this was taken out of North Africa and taken out of the heavier combat areas, it was used a lot in the South Pacific against the Japanese tanks, from what I was reading, and because they were a lot lighter armored. In fact, I found some pictures of, I don't remember if it was a New Zealand or an Australian gun team that's facing straight down a road, facing a Japanese tank, putting holes in it real quick. It has this section here, it says parts not for use on it, so I don't know exactly what they are. Standard fold out sheet on it. Standard warnings up on the top. Keep out of the reach of small children. Don't eat the parts. Don't stab yourself with a knife. Use cement paint, well ventilated area, and never near an open flame. I can attest to that. First page has got 1, 2, 3, and 4 on it, which is the assembly of your barrel and breech assembly. Now it has these things on it here, scattered all through there, and I figured out what they were when I finally got to the end, and it's a paint call out on it. This second page here on steps 5 and 6 are all for your mount assembly for your barrel and breech, all your control wheels, seats for your gunner, mounting the barrel and breech assembly into it. Again, it's got the color callouts here. It's got the mount for mounting your everything into the gun shield on it. On this, it's got an X2, and it's got an X, I guess, for glue. I don't know on that. I don't know if it's so you don't glue it, so you can take it on and off on it or whatever. Again, it's got the little arrow here with the different numbers. This is the assembly of the base plate for it, the trail arms on it, the axle, spring assembly, crossbar. It's got a basically a top view, a side view, and a bottom view, which is pretty good, really. This one also kind of has a two-part view. It has one view here and then has the other view here. So it looks pretty good on this. Page step 9 and 10, 11 are all more assembly of the trailing arms onto this, assembly onto that, assembly of the tires. It's got the recessed direction on it. So it's 1, 2, how many parts to this tire? One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts, 8 parts to this tire and wheel assembly. That's a lot of parts for that. That's again, it's got a color. It says, then you have it says ×2. So for putting both tires together, it says for transport go to step 11. For combat go to step 12. Get into here again. It has setting up the arms, and so that you can set it down. This is all set up for transport. If you want to do step 11, shows you how to put everything together on it. Step 12, combat, it shows you how to lay everything out on it, how to put the arms on it, suggestion on how to lay the shells and that out. Also, it's got, as it turns out, it's got little arrows pointing to it with different numbers. So this, it says remove tab on it here. What these are, they are paint coats. And it's got a light kind of pattern thing that says body, Europe, and Africa. With a TS, Africa is a TS-46 XF-59. Europe is a TS-2/XF-26. Shows it transport, combat. Down here's your paint call out on it. And it's color list, color, brass, flat black, dark green, gunmetal, khaki, leather, sand, wood brown. It's got Tamiya guns, G-U-N-Z-E, acrylic, and then it's got life color. It gives all the color call out codes on them. 1/5, 35th scale. Pretty good directions on it. The other two kits that I have that I'm not going to do on this, because that way whoever goes to review these doesn't have to go through the whole thing to try to find one kit that I reviewed. On the next one I do will be the military miniatures, 135th British 8th Army Infantry Desert Rats, and it's 70s Tamiya Masterpiece models. Now, I'm doing this Tamiya out of the 70s. And on my video on the group build, the D-Day, Russ Goslin D-Day group build, and the plastic issues that I've had with it and everything else. And on that one, a little bit of added note on that, I took one of the sprues where I was talking about how soft it was, and took a 3 1/4 inch section, and I wound it up in circles for a total of 720 degrees, and it never broke. Now the one out of my Academy kit, it made it about 45 degrees before it broke. So that's some really soft plastic. So this one we will review on the next one. And also, the next one we will review Master Box's German Infantry, DAC, World War II area, North Africa Desert Battle Series, Zum Sturm Vorwart. Hamilcar, if you're watching this, I apologize. I don't speak German. So these will be the ones that I do next on it. Now, when we did the D-Day build, the one-up guide, we had the Yankee Flyer series. So not to be outdone, I have a Yankee Flyer in North Africa. Standard, it was written by Al Avery, and it has the standard thing on the inside. This comes from 12 Acre Derby, New York. Standard pictures are always the same. Shows, looks like Thunderbolt, some kind of German aircraft. Shows P-38 ship sinking, aircraft blowing up, P-40 German wings, and it shows a Corsair. Well, it looks like a Corsair, but we'll get to that in the next book. The art on it, Stan dropped the Warhawk until its undersurfaces were skimming the ground. This book was written in 1943, or published in 1943. So it was probably written during the time of the North Africa campaign, and then published in 1943. Now the second one I have, because I don't want you guys doing RAF builds to feel left out, in case you decide you want to do a Battle of Britain group build, here is one of the most unique and rare aircraft ever used by the British RAF. Now this one is a Yankee Flyer with the RAF. Now this aircraft is kind of unique. It's a rather large looking Corsair type aircraft, and it is really unique in that it has 8 wing mounted machine guns and a cannon in the nose and a radial aircraft engine. High tech for the time. This one on the inside, all these have the same standard kind of thing on the inside. Has the flyer about Stan Wilson, how he doesn't get too upset about all the fights with the Messerschmitts and everything else, but somebody starts to sabotage his aircraft and he ground sleuths it and figures all it out. Then the same aircraft, which is now a single seat version as compared to what looks like a 2 or 3 seat version, says the Hawk dropped upon the battle wagon below. These books were written as propaganda during World War II to try to make the Americans feel good and as entertainment for kids on this and adults. So that is my first kit review for Nigel Wells' North Africa group build. We will do the second 2 in the next video, which hopefully we can get done tonight also, because it takes a while to upload it. As always, go to International Scale Modeler and go to the forum. The forum is a very good place to visit. There's some very good people on there. It's very informative. I've been able to ask people questions and post comments and everything else, and I've always got good answers from it. Same as the people that I've dealt with on YouTube on all the builds, Cohen C., Nigel Wells, Aaron Newland, Hamilcar, anybody else that I have gone back and forth with questions about their builds or anything else. So go to that, check into that, follow any of the links that's on there on the group builds or anything else. And again, as always, according to the great Jerry Springer, take care of yourself and each other. This is the Pirate Hunter. Till the next time.